Hello friends, welcome to Creator King. Today all the inventions will have popsicle sticks, but especially the first one. It will be 90% popsicle sticks. I won't say I didn't warn you, so don't get sick of me mentioning them left and right. After the morning warnings, let's start by making a couple of slanted lines on a popsicle stick, 2.5 centimeters from each end to guide us when cutting the pieces with our scissors. I think this shape here is called a trapezoid. Use this shape as a stencil to create the next ones we'll need. This gives me a few precious seconds to ask you. Have you already put up your Christmas tree? I already put mine up, and let me tell you, it looks divine. In my house, we like to use a real one, so all season long it smells like pine. Christmas is so beautiful. When we have the three pieces ready, proceed to glue them together with lots of hot glue to create a thicker and stronger trapezoid. The other day my girlfriend tried to help me glue my glasses with this same device, and instead she glued my fingers together. If you're watching this, honey, you need classes on how to use these tools. With a ruler and a pencil, make small marks at both ends, the way you see on the screen. Mark a point in the lines we marked. This is where we should drill the piece with our powerful drill. The holes that we create will go all the way through the piece. And yeah, what else can I say? I don't always have a funny, witty comment about everything. It's called a creative block. Yeah. Take a pair of special clothespins and dismantle them by separating the plastic pieces to expose the two springs we'll need to use. Once you have both in hand, get a pair of bolts and nuts that will help us hold the springs. Insert the screw through the hole into the spring and then into the hole in the wood and close it with the nut. To tighten it more firmly, you can use a pair of pliers like the ones used by mechanics. Repeat the previous steps with the second spring on the same side as the first. Whenever I make this kind of invention, it always reminds me of my dear modeling teacher who used to make us build wooden bases for sculptures of Chinese monkeys. I never thought doing that sort of thing would help me in the future. I thought it would be something like the quadratic formula that you never used. After creating the small holes near the spring, remove two nails from the pictures your mom has hanging in the hallway of you and your diapers and insert them into the holes. My mother even had one where I exhibit my voluminous buttocks. Why, Mom? Why? Disassemble the pieces that hold the thin drill bit and replace them with our well-known mini circular saw that cuts everything. Although I think I should buy another one because this one looks like it's on its last legs. Yep, that's better. Cut the tips off the nails, leaving more or less a half a centimeter. Our stainless steel pivots are almost ready. To make sure they stay that way, bury them in hot glue so there's no chance of them coming out. With the same circular saw, cut this piece from the spring on the side closest to the wooden structure. This will allow us to make the movement for which they were created. Get the roll of yarn that your grandmother secretly stores in her little craft box and cut a piece with a pair of scissors. Place one of the ends around the cut piece of the spring and apply super glue to stick it to itself. Then do the same on the opposite side, making sure the yarn is very tight. Cut off the excess string and try the bow movement, which will be the main purpose of this invention. Draw the blueprints for this piece you see here and cut it out. If you're an engineer, you can probably do better than me, but the point is that it works, right? We'll also need to make one in this bear claw shape. It's time to bring out those carpenter skills we all have deep down. Glue the shapes to each end of a popsicle. This way they won't move while we do our hard work. Let's put the antique mini circular saw back together, which will help us create our pieces. I'll start with the one that looks like a mushroom, but you can do it in any order you like. You don't always have to follow me like sheep. What I tell you is you should be very careful not to cut crooked or to cut too much, since the pieces are quite small. I will continue with this little claw that we also have to cut. In the meantime, random question of the day. I truly enjoy getting to know my dear subscribers more and more every day, so it would be interesting to hear from you. What is the craziest experiment you've ever done? Who knows? Maybe my soulmate of inventions is among you. Let's continue with what we're doing, which is adding glue to the piece of wood that we just drilled holes in to reinforce it. Clamp them with a mini clothespin while it dries. Do the same with its counterpart. Don't forget that it has to be full of this substance on both sides or it won't work properly. Once we have the pieces ready, proceed to place them on another popsicle stick as shown on the screen. Now it's taking shape. After marking where to place the pieces, proceed to drill the stick and use it as a reference for the second popsicle stick. The next step will be to cut a few toothpicks which will be in charge of holding the pieces. With sharp pliers, cut the tip of one end and put the sticks through the holes previously created. Then insert a piece into each of the sticks in the same arrangement you had them in at the beginning. We're going to have to attach the popsicle stick that we made holes in, but first create a couple of little rectangles to act as a filler so that the parts can be joined together. Apply a few lines of hot glue on the trigger structure to join the wooden rectangles on each side. Once the glue is dried, attach the other popsicle stick. Fill the visible opening with super glue and secure the wooden sticks with hot glue so that once they're dried, you can get rid of what you don't need. Just look at what a beautiful mechanism we have here. Insert this whole structure under the string and attach it to the protruding piece on the mechanism. This way, when tension is applied, we pull the trigger. The projectiles will come out at a high speed towards our target. After joining both parts, take the circular saw and chop off the long end so it's not as bulky. Cut a piece of popsicle stick and duplicate it on the opposite end. With these two pieces of wood, we can create the handle of our lethal wooden steak spear. Is that a good name? You know, YouTube limits my vocabulary. Put a thin wooden stick in the central groove of the launcher and use the trigger mechanism as reference. Cut the extra off, creating a channel to perfectly center our projectile. Speaking of which, it's about time to make them ready. Not even a flash could go that fast. Load the steak in our launcher and get ready to hunt Dracula's vampires. Or in this case, meatballs. Or I don't know what the grotesque red ball is. The point is that we got it good. The following is a way to make our projectiles from the previous invention more shocking. For this, let's use these famous little exploding onions. Oh, I think I ruined my table. Take a ball and recycle one of the projectiles stuck in the meat. Join our new attachment to it with a piece of tape. Cut off the excess tape and you'll be ready to blow up any target. Hasta la vista, baby. We recommend that you not do this on your mother's table. Coca-Cola is so delicious, it's never a bad time to have a can or a 2-liter bottle. Diabetes doesn't exist here. Once you've finished serving our favorite sugary drink, put some water on a piece of water sandpaper and scrape the top of our can until we're able to remove the piece easily with tweezers. It's satisfying, but don't discard either part since both will be useful. First, get a bunch of these deadly nails. Attach them to the top part we removed by applying hot glue on the heads of the nails. Arrange about 50 of them randomly until it resembles one of those old torture instruments. Make a small hole with a drill at the top of the can as close to the edge as possible. Do the same to the piece with the nails. Get some plastic-coated copper wire from the hardware store and put a piece of it through both holes. Hot glue a popsicle stick without its rounded end to the side of the can. On the other end of the stick, glue a smaller popsicle stick. These rubber bands will be responsible for keeping the trap up until our prey arrives. Glue them as close as possible to the edges of the skewers, then attach them to the popsicle stick. After making a new hole in the lid, pass some string through it, then make a knot, which when pulled, the rubber bands tighten so that the blow will be accurate. Create a hole a few centimeters from the base of the can. Cut a small piece from another popsicle stick and hot glue it a bit above the hole. Pierce a thinner one and insert one of these sticks, then secure with lots of silicone on both sides. Glue a couple more popsicle sticks to improve the stability of our trap. Here in my house, we mostly have rats, so the bait will be a nice piece of stinky cheese that will attract them from miles away. Install our juicy bait by jamming the pointy tip into the hole and attaching the rope to it. With this, it'll only be a matter of waiting for our undesirable friends to make an appearance and give their last breath. To show them, I will use a little balloon, and with the power of imagination, we will insinuate that it's dirty vermin. I'll also draw a little face to make it more realistic. Pair of eyes and a little mouth, he looks just like my brother. Go for the cheese, dirty sewer rodent. Yes! It's a gift from... Goodbye! Farewell to the plague that nibbles at my cables, although now I have to clean its guts from my desk. Thanks for watching our inventions made out of household items today. Follow my channel if you'd like to learn more about making simple yet incredible inventions. Also, click on the link to see more videos about my amazing inventions. Click on the link to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial.